if you're a dream chaser and you have the ability to facilitate your own schedule in some way, shape, or form, it almost is like you switch to something new, and then you either see all of the benefits or all of the detriments.
And then eventually I went broke. I went all the way past zero. Yeah. And, but that's the problem with habits and with success and with life, is that the benefits don't come till later. The pain comes immediately. And maybe not pain, but the trade-off, the downside comes immediately.
Next Level Nation, welcome back, to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed yesterday's episode number 1739. There's a reason they say don't meet your heroes. Alan and I were talking after that episode, and we wanted the takeaway to be that you very well may be more positive, more... What's the word you usually use? Like,
I would say you're a better human being than you think.
Okay.
The people that you look up to and admire, that you might think have things that you don't, I think when it comes to skill sets or success or perception or status, that might be true. But what I hope our community understands is you're probably a more wonderful human being than you think in comparison.
Well said. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
We wanted to add that.
That is my truth.
We didn't add that in the previous episode. Today, for episode number 1740, the lights are off if you're on YouTube, and that means it's Freestyle Friday. So this is a very legitimate Freestyle Friday because I have nothing prepped, nothing planned, nothing at all.
I have one more thing that I think is super powerful.
Involving?
I find, I've been talking a ton about paradox and duality.
Yes.
First it was duality, I think that was like last year. And then this year's been paradox.
Mm-hmm.
Reading a book, The 8 Paradoxes of Leadership. But to my original point about the community behind the scenes, like, there might be these heroes or these people that have status, success, things that you want, things that you envy. And maybe they do have some skills or whatever that you don't have. That's fair. Quantum abilities, you name it. I mean, everyone's different. But you're most likely a more well-rounded, wonderful human being than those people. 99 times out of 100 that is my truth, having studied the quote-unquote successful people of the world, rich, famous, blah, 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 and having studied our community deeply, global community. And you know what's ironic and paradoxical about that is that I think our community, not all of our community, but a lot of our community, similar to you and I, Kev, have struggled with self-worth. And what I find fascinating from a scientific perspective, and by scientific I mean just observing, is the people who, Christina wouldn't mind me using her as an example. Like, Christina is so concerned about being toxic. That's why she's the least toxic person ever. And so Christina, I think on some level, questions whether or not she's a good person, which ironically, paradoxically, is why she's such a good person. Versus the people who think they're such good people, a lot of times they're really not. And that's been fascinating. So that's what came up for me.
Okay. I don't know if I have anything on that. You know what I was thinking of based on yesterday? Oh, so yesterday as Sunday, because we're recording this on Monday, was nostalgia. And I don't know. There's always something about getting nostalgic for me that I feel is super beneficial. Like, I was going to be early to your place yesterday. So Alan lives in the town that we grew up in. And usually when I go down to Alan's, I usually leave a little bit earlier and then I drive around the town because something happens. And I was listening to the same songs that I was listening to back when I lived in Uxbridge.
Look at this photograph.
No Nickelback.
Every time I do, it makes me... That's a jam.
Nothing against Nickelback. I'm a fan. Creed,
yeah, same.
too. People
Huge
hate
fan.
on Creed. I think Creed's one of the best rock bands of all time, so get off of it.
I never realized how much I enjoy rock because I've been listening to alternative rock and my workouts. I go in phases of rap versus rock versus for working out. And I've been in a big rock phase, particularly 90s and early 2000s. And Emilia doesn't like rock that much, which I didn't learn until we're 5 years into our relationship. And she's like, yeah, I don't like rock. And I'm like, you don't like rock? And then here's, and again, side tangent, we'll make this land. I love classic rock. The reason why is my mom and stepdad always played classic rock. I mean, 70s, early 80s, classic rock. I know some of our listeners, Amy Lennius, she's on the NLU team. She adores classic rock. That's what we were jamming out to when we were fishing for last year's Next Level Live event. And I said, oh, no, I didn't know you didn't like rock. I thought it was just classic rock you didn't like. She's like, all rock. And I'm like, what do you mean? So this was like a real moment for us. It's like, what about alternative punk rock? What about heavy metal? What about, right? And I realized, oh, okay, so that's one thing that I didn't realize. You don't like rock. And then I thought about it a little more because we don't talk about music ever. Emilia and I, like never. And I realized, yeah, she never listens to rock. So I didn't realize how much I love rock because it wasn't until I saw that she didn't that I was like, whoa, that's not good because I love it. I love it. So, dude,
what does she listen to?
Everything else.
Everything except for
everything except for rock. Yeah, that was just a, so you've been with Taryn for 6 or 7 years?
No, 5.
So Emilia and I in October will be 5.
Yeah,
so,
Taryn and I was 5 when we were in Scotland. It was 5-year anniversary.
Oh, okay. So, that you guys are starting based on the second time not from when you first met, because when you first met was a year prior to that or whatever, right?
No, it was many.
So
I've known Taryn since 2017, 18, 17.
Yeah, 17.
2017. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've known her for 7 or 8, I think.
Yeah, I've known her for 7.
Then
we've been together for 5.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Anyways, one thing that I know a lot of people in long-term relationships will resonate with is there are certain things that you learn where it's I can't believe I didn't connect that before. That makes perfect sense. So Emilia adores the morning and I adore the evening. And we had a moment recently, so silly. It's like, okay, if we want our relationship to be magnificent, all I have to do is protect the morning and the evening, which I have not been doing a good job. Usually it's either the evening or the morning. Because if we get to bed early and the evening sucks, in my opinion, where we don't enjoy ourselves, all the things, then, because like if we really take the evening and really enjoy it, I'm talking date night, we're going to wake up late because we want to get good sleep. But then the next day, the morning is where she loves and adores slow mornings is what we call them, where we don't have to get up and immediately go to work. We get to actually see the pets and enjoy each other and cuddle and whatever, right? And all this stuff. Whereas I love, like at the end of the evening, I'm completely done and want to just R&R and all of the quality time, physical touch, everything. So breakthrough moment recently, it was okay. So all I have to do is protect the mornings and the evenings. And then I have full permission slip, for lack of better phrasing. Because for me, and again, I know this will resonate with the listeners, success is, I think being successful and in love is very hard. Because we coach couples, and a lot of times what happens is we help them with their dreams and their goals. And then the next call, they're crushing their dreams and their goals, but they are not connected. And there's totally a cycle with that. It's either you're crushing your goals and dreams or you're madly in love. Almost never is it both. It's very hard to sustain both. So I'm coming off a chapter of big business. So last week I told Kev this yesterday, was the most I've ever put on the court in my career. So if we're just looking at the career and business bucket, last week was the most I've ever put out on the court. But my relationship was taking away some time and effort from my relationship. And so being in love, I think, is easy. Being successful, I also think, is easy. Doing them both simultaneously is nearly impossible. And I know some people won't resonate with that because they don't think either of those things are necessarily easy. But for you, I think being in love, it feels easy, and being successful feels hard. So I know it depends for everybody. But I just want everyone to know, being in shape, being in love, and being successful, all three, is like, I'm not kidding. I'm someone who typically thinks things are easy. It's ridiculously difficult. It's ridiculously difficult. Yeah.
They're all, I don't want to say full-time jobs. I don't mean it like that, but yeah.
Kind of are.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard to have a relationship that's only 3 hours a day. You know, like it doesn't necessarily work depending on what the people in the relationship value. And then fitness, it's like an hour a day for fitness just isn't that much time. Like exercise, weigh yourself, drink enough water, eat the right food, cook the right food, mobility, an hour is just, it's just not that much time.
Yep.
And then business, I mean, 8 hours is great, but that's not enough.
It's not enough, depending.
It's not enough.
Especially not in the beginning.
That's how I feel right now. I woke up, I got up today, I got up at 6. I get up at 6 every day, and it's not enough time. I don't have enough time before I go to the gym at 8, so I have like an hour and a half before I go to the gym, and it's like, I'd really love to do like a 25-minute yoga session. No, not going to happen.
Yep, no way.
So, I understand. But that's why it's so valuable. It's so valuable because it's rare, and I've been saying that for a minute. We switched our schedules from, we were doing 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you could book an 11 a.m., 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'd finish at 7. But the team call would go to 7:30. The meetup, we do a call after the meetup, would go to 7:30.
At least, because sometimes the meetups go long. Right?
Yeah, group coaching, at least 7:30. And then I told Alan, I was like, dude, this is killing me. Because if I want to get up at 5.
And the 8 hours of sleep thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, this is not Kevin and I just complaining. This is us.
Well, I think this is a human struggle. I think
agreed.
This is a human struggle.
We're venting about this in an effort to understand it so that we can align with it. And I want everyone to feel seen, heard, and valued and understood that it is easy to be successful at one thing. I think. I do. I think that's actually really easy. That's why I was a pro gamer, like semi-pro, for anyone of my past friends. Oh, well, you weren't really. It's like, listen, I don't care what you guys say. I was 20th in the world at this game, okay? Whatever. Bungie.net, I have a screenshot. I don't. I should have taken one. I just hate when people reach out. Well, technically, it's like, can you just shut up, right? But anyway, so I was a semi-pro gamer. You said pro, It's like, oh my God. Get a life, right? Okay, so I was a semi-pro gamer. I was really good at one game. That's all I did. I didn't have friends outside of Halo. So Halo 2 was my game. We have a conscious couple that loves they're gamers. Shout out to them if you're listening. Big fan. And they're like, wait a minute, what? If you find someone who values Halo and you say you were 20th on Team Deathmatch and Bungie.net, most people don't know what I'm talking about. They're like, it's so interesting. They're like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah. And Emilia was like, the heck is happening right now? You were Neo Ultima? It wasn't that, but it's funny. But the point is it's not hard to get good at one thing. It's seriously not. Like, and again, for me, maybe that's weird, but it's really, really, really unreasonably, super insanely difficult to be well-roundedly excellent in many different areas. It is alarmingly difficult. And I told Emilia, if you and I are not 10 out of 10, I'm not going to be okay with pursuing excellence in other things. Like, for you, I think it's the opposite. I think as long as you have success financially, I feel like you think your relationship will be great. I feel like as long as my relationship is great, I'll be financially successful. It's like an interesting thing. Go ahead.
Well, the quality time thing, it doesn't matter how much money I have. That will not buy me more quality time necessarily.
Yeah. But if you do have the money, you you will feel like you can buy back your time
Yeah.
to have quality time and to go
It
on
was-
trips and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
The reason it was super hard is because we were working till 7:30 and I was going to bed at 9. And now, if I wanted to get 8 hours of sleep, I'd have to go to bed at 9 because I was getting up at 5. And that's why it was really challenging.
Let's go through it. So let me ask you. So what are the essentials for a fulfilled, holistic, successful life?
I think it depends on the person. Always, I'll always throw that out there. I think it depends on the person. The essentials.
Like you
For
got
a
to figure 8 hours
fulfilled-
of sleep, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say 8 hours of sleep.
Yep.
Even though it sucks and it used to be cool, it used to sound cool to say like I only got 4 hours of sleep. That's not good. It's not great.
I can send you a TED Talk if anyone wants to know.
Right? I think that's super important.
Well, there goes a third of your life right there.
Yes. I think that's a really challenging thing, and I don't know, that this was a really challenging thing for me is sleep never felt productive. Sleep never felt productive. It's like, well, I'd rather just get 6 hours and then get 2 more hours of work.
Yeah.
I still deal with that. I will get up early instead of getting 8 hours. I don't
Not me.
sleep in. I don't have enough time. If I sleep in, I don't have enough time.
Brandon's been having that struggle too because he's been researching the sleep stuff, and he's like you in a lot of ways. Actually, we've figured that out over the years. But he has a really hard time not feeling lazy when he sleeps in. But your testosterone levels are higher. You're healthier. Your hormones. I know Amy could talk about that. Amy on the team. I don't like to. Sometimes I talk about the team like everyone knows these people. I understand that.
Yeah.
But the 8 hours of sleep thing, it doesn't have to be 8 necessarily. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I got time in bed, 9 hours, 8 minutes. Total sleep, 8 hours, 17 minutes. Sleep efficiency, 91%. Resting heart rate, 42 beats per minute. 85, and it says optimal. So, or according to Aura, I am optimal. My timing was a little off, but everything else is in the green. And the timing is just when you go to bed, because I go to bed a little late. And Emilia and I were talking late too. But so I slept until 9:27 a.m. And again, that's, like I said, I can't, let's say my first call's at 10 with you. Luckily it was with you. I texted you. I said, hey man, we need 10:30. End up getting in here at 10:40. But I don't want to get up and immediately go to work.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to go to bed the moment I'm done working.
I know.
Yeah, and so this is just a challenge I know everyone will resonate with because there's just not enough time. As an adult,
Yeah. And that's
It's
not
crazy.
counting all the other adult things.
NLU listener, what is happening? I just wanted to jump in here and let you know if you want to get to the next level faster, we have a free virtual monthly meetup at the first Thursday of every month, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can connect with like-minded people and become a bigger part of this amazing global community. The link to register will be in the show notes.
The thing I'm struggling with is I get up and I come into the office. That's the first thing I do. I wake up, I go pee, and then I come into the office and I start working. There is no wind up time because I don't feel like I have enough time. And I don't want to get up any early. It has been amazing. Working till 6, and again, sometimes it's 6:30, but working till 6 and then having until 10 p.m., I feel like every night is a vacation. It's amazing. I love it. Because I can eat dinner at 6:30. If I eat dinner too close to bed, I sound like an old man, an old geriatric fellow. But I don't sleep well because I'm digesting food. That used to not bother me. Now
Did you get your warm milk?
I need some warm milk
Need
before I
some
go to
warm
bed.
milk
My milk
before
of
bed.
magnesia. So that's a whole thing. But I think that is the journey, right? If you're a dream chaser.
If I don't get my belly rubs.
I do need my belly rubs and my kitty snugs.
Yeah.
If you're a dream chaser and you have the ability to facilitate your own schedule in some way, shape, or form, it almost is like you switch to something new, and then you either see all of the benefits or all of the detriments.
I think you see the detriments first. Dude, the benefits of sleep are so long-term. This is one of the core reasons why people don't, I think, stick with things. I'm convinced of this. the trade-off, the pain of the trade-off comes right now. The benefits don't come until way later. So most people quit before they actually see the compounded benefits. I mean, dude, investing money was brutal. Dude, I saw so for context, when I was in my early 20s, I just decided to become very wealthy. And I know that sounds really arrogant, but whatever. So I was making tons of money, and I didn't have a home, I didn't have a mortgage. My rent was half with Courtney, $450. I just had a lot coming. I bought a $5,000 Volkswagen Passat that ended up saving my life in a car accident, which I'm grateful for. So thank you, Volkswagen, for making such safe German-engineered cars. But I remember I just was like, all right, I'm going to be wealthy now. I'm just going to try to get wealthy. And so I just invested all my money. And I mean like all of it. I was making 125. Then I got a huge bump when I went to outside sales. So I was making almost 200. And I was doing a referral program where I was bringing all my colleagues from Worcester Polytechnic Institute into the company I was working for, and they had a bomb referral program. It was huge bonuses for this referral program, because normally they'd have to pay recruiters, and so they just paid the internal employees, team members, instead of, I don't like employee, but team members. And so I made so much money, at least for an early 20s person. For someone in their early 20s, I was doing very well. Now, my point of all that is I invested in a Vanguard account, different index funds and tech companies that I knew had a high probability to succeed long term. And I ended up eventually with 150 grand in this investment portfolio. And if anyone ever wants, advice on finance and all that, please reach out. I'm technically going to have to be a coach, not a fiduciary or a financial advisor. I'm just going to business coach, because legally I'm not a fiduciary licensed. But anyways, so my point of all that is all that investment didn't pay off at all until a couple years in. Like, think about it. You invest 10 grand into an investment account. You don't see any benefit, but you immediately feel the 10 grand less. I mean, think about it. What can you do with 10 grand? Okay, that's one less vacation. That's one less new car, at least the down payment, right? That's one less, I don't know, that's 50 less date nights or whatever, right? And this is back then too, so money, 10 grand was more back then, but as if we aren't 80 years old here. Inflation back in my day. So at the end of the day, you feel all the pain up front and none of the benefits. It wasn't until later when we became entrepreneurs and I had to liquidate all my assets when you saw the benefits. Kev used to joke about me being on YouTube on the beach and doing fitness, modeling fitness competitions, fitness motivational videos, inspiration, motivation, education. And you saw all the benefits thinking that's what entrepreneurship is. Yeah. That was the payday of me liquidating all my assets. I didn't have to work. I didn't have to work. I had more than enough money in the bank. Every time I didn't, I would just go sell my stocks and I would just have another 20 grand. Cool. All right. Another 20 grand. And then they would grow in tandem. So then it was, okay, nice. And then eventually I went broke. I went all the way past zero. Yeah. And, but that's the problem with habits and with success and with life, is that the benefits don't come till later. The pain comes immediately. And maybe not pain, but the trade-off, the downside comes immediately.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky because when we started this, I was valuing time at night more. So I started seeing that immediately. So the downside isn't that bad. It's enough time to get what I need to get done in terms of business. I just wish I could do a more, and I'll get there in time as I optimize more. But I miss the days where I would put on some sort of yoga thing and I'd listen to a book. Like, I don't do that right now. Mm-hmm. I just feel too all over the place. I'm just bouncing from thing to thing to thing to thing to email to WhatsApp message, blah, blah, blah. Again, all privilege pressure. This is what I signed up for. I'm grateful. I'd rather do this than a lot of the other things I've done in the past. But if you're out there feeling that right now, whatever your own unique version of that is, sometimes it means something has to change. Other times it means time just has to elapse before you figure it out. And I think that's why it's so hard to stick with things, because you don't know necessarily what does that mean. I mean, I have to get up at 5:30. Do I need an extra half hour? No, not necessarily. Could I buy myself back a half hour by being more productive and focused in the morning? Probably. Right? Could I just do mobility first thing when I wake up? Sure. This is my ultimate thought. This is the ultimate thought. It's the order of importance. Right now, it's business first, then Kevin's fitness second. So I'm always going to do the business thing first, and then I get whatever the leftovers are.
Yeah.
But there's seasons of that. I think there's been times in the past where it was Kevin's fitness, for sure.
Well, we talk about the tripod and the health, wealth, love. It's almost like wealth right now, lately for both of us, has been getting the top priority.
Yes.
And by wealth, we mean success, business, team.
Growing the business.
Growing, podcast, speaking, training, coaching. But I don't want Emilia to feel like she's getting scraps.
Right.
But there are seasons where that needs to be the case, particularly if your goals require that. So I talked to Emilia. I said, if we want to get a new place because she wants to move away from winter, then I need the permission to sometimes have it feel like scraps, because I'm coaching so many people right now, which I'm so grateful for. But I need permission to go do that, because you're either focused more on your goals or you're focused more on the experience. You're either focused more on results or you're focused on the experience. And this is something you and I have not talked about almost at all, that I think we probably used to talk about it way back. And I think Kevin and I are going through a nostalgic phase in general, where we're looking back at the beginning, and we had a lot of things figured out that we didn't realize. And we had a lot of things that we didn't have figured out at all. And one of the things exactly, that we didn't realize. One of the things we did have figured out, I'm convinced of it, is we talked about attitude more often. We talked about gratitude and attitude all the time. And I was in Chipotle yesterday. So Kevin and I did the Next Level Hope Foundation, and then after that, we went and we fished a little bit. Emilia picked me up on the way home from her parents' lake house, and then we went to Chipotle and got two nights worth of meals. And in Chipotle, I'm always observing. I'm always, number one, where's this company at? Are they growing or not? Where's this one particular company at? This one is the one, this one. This is the one near the studio back in the day that I used to go to all the time. It was so nostalgic, too. I'm driving through the studio. We drove past the studio. And we drove past the hotel I used to frequent. And we drove past the Chipotle that I used to get all the time. I remember I would get the same meal every night in the studio when I was just there for ridiculous amounts of hours. Especially on the weekends during the summer. But anyways, so I go in there and I'm seeing, are they increasing or decreasing? What's their revenue? Blah, blah, blah. Are their employees happy? Like, I'm always trying to look at what the team looks like, who's the manager, all that stuff. And so I'm just observing. Emilia's in the bathroom and I'm waiting in line. So why not think about business? And I saw this one guy who is just miserable. And he was over in the corner, actually near the bathroom, and he was eating his lunch. It was Father's Day, and you could tell he was just so upset to be there on Father's Day. And I remember thinking, and then I got in line and I started working with, and this one dude was the happiest. His attitude was so positive, and I remember thinking, the business owner of this franchise is going to promote this guy. How could you not? He was so happy. He met you with a big smile. He went over above and beyond. We waited for white rice because they were out, and he gave me extra, which I really appreciate. He saw I was a bodybuilder, and it was like, I'm telling you, I'll go back there all day, every day for that guy.
Should we do an episode on it? You want to do an episode on it?
I would love to. Attitude, yeah. The other guy who's miserable is just not going to get promoted. So here's the cycles that I'm talking about here. It's almost like the kid in the corner has a bad attitude, probably because he doesn't like his job, and then the bad attitude is going to make him not get promoted, which is going to what? Make him not like his job even more.
Right.
And then that's going to leak into an even worse attitude. And that's the doom loop. That's the downward destructive spiral. Versus this other kid, and I say kid, like, how old are we, man? It's like, this guy's in his early...
I don't know if I say kid
dude,
as much as you do.
He's in his early 20s, so in my opinion, it's like he's kind of like a child now in our old geriatric years. I'm obviously joking. But anyway, so this other person has a great attitude, is more likely to get promoted, and when he's promoted, he's more likely to not only get paid more, so it's more worth it, but he's also going to like his job more. because he has more perks, responsibilities, whatever, pay. And then that's going to make him what? Have an even better attitude. People say to themselves, well, I'll have a better attitude when I have a better job. No, that's flipped. Get a better attitude and you'll have a better job. Christina's attitude on the NLU team is literally the best. It's, okay, what do you need? What can I do? How can I help? How can I support? It's like, who isn't going to want Christina? Like, what company on earth doesn't need people like that? To me, it's just so obvious. Maybe that's not obvious to everybody. But if you find a way to add more value with a positive attitude and work hard, you are like 90% of the way to your dreams if you just can stay consistent.
Well, we'll do an episode on that tomorrow. We already had one, but I moved it down. We'll do an episode tomorrow on attitude.
Okay.
Because I resonate with that a lot, because a lot of the opportunities that I got were not based on talent or skill. Right? Most of the opportunities I got were not based on talent or skill.
Attitude and work ethic.
So we'll talk at length about that tomorrow.
Love it.
You dig it?
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to say before we go?
That was Freestyle Friday. I think that was great. It went a lot of different directions.
It's Freestyle Friday. When the lights are off, you don't know what's gonna. You don't know what we're going to talk about. You know what I mean?
I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
I was going to say it, and then I was like, it's going to sound pretty sexual if I say when the lights are off, you never know what's going to happen. So I'm going to go away from that. Try to keep it PG-13.
So a quick synopsis, punk rock.
Punk rock, know what your partner likes to listen to.
Nostalgia.
We didn't even touch on it. We touched on it quickly, and then we went in a different direction. I had some fire lined up for nostalgia. Maybe we'll do that in the future. Maybe next Freestyle Friday. Chipotle, stocks. Habits are hard because they take long. Positive habits are hard because they take so long. Sleep, testosterone. Yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
having it all.
Yep.
Holistic, success, fulfillment.
Yep.
I think that's a Freestyle Friday in a nutshell right there.
That's good stuff.
I dig it. Next Level Nation, if you are into Freestyle Friday and all things Next Level, please leave us a review on your platform of choice and make sure you subscribe on whatever you're listening to or watching us on so you never miss an opportunity to get to the next level. And as always, we have a private Facebook group called Next Level Nation where we have a link in the show notes. What do you got, Alan?
I hate when I use filler words like that. How many times do I do that per episode? Okay,
Millions.
Book club. We're closing it. So when is this dropping?
So this is Saturday. Nope,
this
Friday.
is Saturday.
This is Friday.
This is Friday. It's Freestyle Friday. What a silly question then. So tomorrow.
Sillier answer. The answer was worse than the question was, honestly.
Tomorrow, if you're listening to this on the day it drops, Friday, tomorrow is our first book club with the new book. And it looks like right now, 40% of the votes have gone to Same as Ever by Morgan Housel, which is the same author as The Psychology of Money. So apparently that was a high hitter. That's great. And if you have not yet voted, please click the link in the show notes to join Next Level Nation. It's pinned to the very top, and you can vote. You can vote for one of these 5 books. Indistractable by Nir Eyal, Identity Shift by Anthony Trucks, Same as Ever by Morgan Housel, Peak Performance by Steve Magnus and Brad Stolberg, and Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke. We've got some fire comments coming through. Thinking in Bets was one of the best books I've ever read. 10 out of 10. Suggest this one. I honestly don't like to vote in this. LOL. I don't think I would have picked any of the books that I've gotten so much out of. That's fair. Changed my vote a few times before I locked in. Oh no, I don't know what to pick. Too many options. Easily distracted. So indistractable, I guess. Yeah, so go in there, pick what you want to read, and you do not have to have been in book club in the past. You do not have to commit to the entire book. Just please vote, and the entire book club community will benefit.
Next Level books with next level people.
Strong
As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Talk to you soon.